Hello and welcome to the BOSStimator. Ryan Frick here. Today's tutorial is going to be on why you need the BOSStimator. After watching this, you will completely understand that this estimating system is absolutely awesome. It can do so much with such a little amount of information and perform so much work and save so much time for you in the process. So watch all the other tutorials to figure out how to add the client, the projects, and estimates. But we're going to go ahead and get right into an estimate. This estimate that I've created, and I'm going to refresh the screen here so we can get to a blank estimate. There's nothing here. We're going to go ahead and create an estimate, and it's going to be a home estimate. You can create as many as you want to. I'm going to go ahead and get right into a package, and I'm going to call it a Galaxy class home. And I've set this up in other tutorials. This is the package tutorials. You need to watch that in order to understand that, as well as assemblies and how that affects tasks. But I'm going to say there's one of those, Galaxy class homes. And if you want to see what's all involved into it, I'm going to pull this up, drag it down here so you can see it. But we have a whole bunch of assemblies in a Galaxy class home, as well as a whole bunch of tasks that are in a Galaxy class home. Again, you need to watch that tutorial to understand what that actually means. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and create this home. And I'm going to say there's one of them, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my estimate. Okay, the whole estimate is now added together. Now I'm going to go in here and press refresh, which is an F5 key, and we have all these assemblies, which I just showed you in the package already added to it. Now we just need to come in here and say, okay, there's 3 bedrooms. You can go, or 3 bathrooms. You can adjust the number of bathrooms because the Galaxy class has, you can have as many as you need to. But we're saying there's 3 bathrooms, there's 3 bedrooms. There's, on the estimate, we'll add them up. There's 12 ceiling fans. And this is saying, hey, you're changing it. Go ahead and press yes. And I'm not going to explain this as a tutorial goes on, but it's always yes for this. Is just saying, hey, you're changing an assembly figure. It's a safety precaution built in. So there's a bunch of those as well. The driveway on this individual lot requires it to be 110 foot long. And again, it's going to come up with the dialog box. I'm going to go ahead and go down to there. And we have a whole bunch of other things that are automatically with a Galaxy class. What's set up as defaults. We got 16 recessed cans. We have sidewalk on the sidewalk on this one. Depending upon the layout of the lot, it also could be changing. So we don't set that up at the beginning on the defaults. So, but we'll say that the sidewalk on this house is 27 foot. Everything else is determined already. We can say that I'm not going to put in the number of days right now because that's going to be depending upon how we process the overall project, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But then we have a wall-mounted fixtures as well, and there's 8 of those. And we're good to go. Okay, so what is all that done that quick, that fast? Let's go to the task and find out what's in the estimate. Started out as blank, and I'm going to press F5. We have now 174 tasks built into this estimate. Each one of those tasks have items below it, which creates a complete material list. And when I say items below it, we'll go for example a 2x4 stud cut installation that has a carpenter, has miscellaneous materials, and actually has a stud as well. So that actually creates a complete material list. Your material list is underneath those are called items. Those are underneath your items tab. And as you can see right here, I have at this point 560 items already calculated within this estimate. And at everything from labor to materials to subcontractors. And you can go through here and you can sort this stuff as however you want to, from alphabetical on the type or to the items or the cost. So let's see if there's anything that's missing on the estimate for cost wise. There's a few items in here. Let's say for the concrete pad, the roll of that is about $45 a row. Yes, I'm changing the price. It allows me to do that. The exterior door, this was for this house, we're going to say that this one we're going to give them allowance of $325. And again, I'm just changing the prices for the material only for this, and it's locking it so it can't be changed or updated with any other improvements in the future. And the lavatory on this house is $125. And then let's go ahead and go to the trusses, and we get a truss quote back later on, but we'll just leave it for right now. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll put $250 just for purposes of where we're at. And the land cost for this house, that when we bought it, it's going to be this cost of this land is we paid $25,425, whatever. You can determine that. And so we're good to go. So I've changed that. There's no more missing items here. Let's go back to the tasks. Tasks are the where items are the building blocks. Tasks combine them together. You combine tasks to create assemblies, which what we have right here. These assemblies have all those tasks in it. And then you combine tasks and assemblies to create packages, and that's what that was. It was a Galaxy class package, which you can make it for a bedroom package or a lighting package or whatever you want to. However you want to configure it, you can totally configure it however. But anyways, we got this done right now. Right now with that fast, I'm on $122,300. That's without having any add-ons. Add-ons are things that you over and above the cost. So let's go ahead and go into a project add-ons. I'm going to bring this up. And you can go in here and you can review what the default add-ons are. This is how the default location, renovation expense, and safety. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add these add-ons to the project. And the only difference is that on this one here, I don't need a renovation expense. And deleting this, the location expense, it was a flat fee. We'll say for this project is $37.50. The overhead, I'm making I want to make 15% on this one. And I want to make it all. I want to make 15 on the labor, 5 on the materials, 15 on subs, 2 on equipment, and 2 on other costs. So you can see you can adjust each one of those depending upon what factor you want to put on each one of the individual types of items. But I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and those amounts will come down here and we'll calculate down on the bottom of this. And you can see right now it added up the labor, multiplied it by the percentage, distributed it. Now my price is $137,485. That fast. I've created a whole thing. You notice there's some red items up here which indicates that, hey, there's some missing information, and the reason we have that is because we haven't filled in all the blanks yet. But I want to be able to say I got 42 man hours on this project right now, and for purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to say it's a 3-man crew working 40 hours a week. Equates to 6.5 weeks, and we'll say we're going to give a 25% safety factor. We'll go with 25% would be 7.5 weeks. We call it 8 weeks. That's 2 months, and we'll just say it's going to be. Let's go back over to here for the duration factor. 7.5 times 30, or times 40. I'm sorry, 7.5. Make it 8 times 5 because it's 7.5 weeks, call it 8 weeks, that's 40 days. And yes, I'm changing it. Now I've got my duration expenses, and duration expenses is everything from daily cleanup to administration to porta pots, you name it, you got it, it's in there. So it adjusted it by the labor, everything is complete. I got a complete estimate that fast. In 8 minutes, I was able to calculate $148,000 for this project. Now I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to bid it out. Since I have such details in the estimate, I can go here and say, let's go ahead, let's just create a framing package, bid package. What the computer just did, it went through, found out all the items that should belong into the framing package, and that's determined from the defaults. You just go into at the defaults when you're setting it up and say this item belongs to framing, this item belongs to tile, so on and so forth. But I just created that, and I'm saying, okay, I want to find out all of what that bid entails. So I'm going to click on that. What it's doing right now, its first thing it's doing is checking the internet to make sure there's no updates to the program and also updates to any previous bids that were published. But it's going on there, looking it up, pulling this out, and then it's calculating all the materials that are in this particular estimate. Put those items in here that fit the framing bid package and made a complete list of it. Calculated the quantities based upon what you estimated it at, and that's all laid out already. And then figured out what you should bid it out, because you can't buy 17.1, so you're going to get 18 of those, so on and so forth. You can go down through here, the hold down contractor. You know what? I don't want him to be part of this bid package, so I'm deleting it from this bid package. You can subtract from the bid packages that fast, or you can go in here, pull down the drop down menu, and everything that shows up on the list are the items that are remaining to be bid for this project. And I'm just going to throw in the door just so you can see it actually goes back, looks up how many doors I need, puts it in here, and so on and so forth, and it's completed. Once I got my scope of work for my bid complete, I can press I'm done. Now I can go and say I want you to find the materials vendors that did bid this before, and what what I just did by doing that, it went through my database, found every material supplier that's ever bid any of these items before, and put these in as default vendors to bid this project out, and went in there, figured out what their previous bids were, and put those items. So Home Depot's supplied 9 of these items before. Well, we got all of them there. 84 is only supplied 2. Let's take a look at what Home Depot has supplied. You can go through here. You can see that they've supplied it. Also, what you'll notice that it's got their SKU number, not yours. It goes to their database, find out what their SKU number was in the past, puts their SKU number in here, finds out what their previous unit rate was, and calculates that all the way down and says, hey, there's still one item that we don't have a price back on, and we don't have a SKU number on this. But that's fine. But it went through, did all that analysis, figured it all up, and it also went through and found out when the previous bid was. So they bid this on 12/20 of 2011. So you get an idea of when they previously bid it. All this is this is the BOSStimator package. Did the same thing for 84, but you can go through here and you can say, I want to go ahead and I want to include Premier Communications Group as part of this bid package as well. So it created a bid package for them, made the same thing, but they haven't bid it before, so all their unit rates are 0. So we're going to have to ask them to fill that information in. I'm going to go ahead and say this is an open bid. What the open bid says is that, hey, publish this to the internet and allow other people to review the scope of work and bid this, so I can even get more bids than what I've selected. If I say restricted bid, what that would do is only allow those people. Nobody else would be able to review it online, but I'm going to go ahead and say make it open. And then I'm going to say, you know what, I'm ready to go ahead and request bid packages. So what it's doing now, I just press that button. It's going and making a bid package, creating it in a format that you can fax it out, which what you're looking at here, went through the database, found out the vendor's name, who it was, where their address is, puts all the pertinent information here, puts it in a format that they can easily fill this information in, and they can either, if you have the BOSStimator, that's what all this is, and they can fax it back, and then you have this information that you can put right into there. If if you have the BOSStimator Plus, which is what it's doing right now in the background that you hear all this beeping, it's what it did is it went on the internet and published this bid on the internet, and it also went and notified each one of the contractors that you had on here, sent an email to them and said, hey, you've been requested to bid this, please fill in the blank on the BOSStimator. So they basically open up their system, it opens it up, they put in all their values that they need online, and then when they publish it, it publishes right back to the BOSStimator without you even touching anything, updates all their SKU numbers, updates their new pricing, changes their old pricing so that it's the pricing that was originally to the old pricing, so we can keep an accurate log of everything. All this is behind the scenes, but it does it all that fast. You want to see what it looks like on the internet? I'm gonna pull up the bid solicitation screen, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to pull this over. The bid solicitation that went out online is right here. This is went right to their website, to your database online, pulled up the bid document. This is the one that went out for to Home Depot for this bid with the exact same information and quantities. You notice that some of the IDs are already there, so they're bidding specifically their item, so they don't even have to figure it out. And then it shows them that there was 2 items that we didn't have SKU numbers on, and these are the new prices for this. It gives their previous price when what they had in their database and when they previously bid it to us, so it keeps them honest, and it shows them that we're keeping track of their pricing. You don't have to do any of it. It does it automatically. And they can print this out and they can fax it back if they don't have the BOSStimator. It doesn't cost them anything to BOSStimator. It's the same program that you're using. You have access to it as well, but then all they have to do is open it up, fill in the blanks, and republish it back to you, and then they're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and close that screen, and I'm going to close this screen. But what's happening now behind the screen? Oop, I didn't press it, I guess. Okay, so now that we've requested the bids, we have a couple things that we can do. Let's go ahead and let's say we've received some bids back. You can click on that. I'm going to save that. And you can either select the vendor who you received it from. I'm going to say I received a bid back from Home Depot. And what it does, it pulls up the Home Depot dialog box and says, okay, here's this their SKU numbers, this is the unit rates that it used to be, and you can come in here and say, okay, you got a bid back for this, and I'm just going to quickly go down here and adjust a few things. And so that for the purposes of this, now this is if you have the bidder program, you manually have to put this information in when you get it back from them. If you have the BOSStimator Plus, which is the publishing one, this would automatically be updated. Any skewed number changes would automatically be updated, and everything would have been calculated without you doing anything whatsoever. And you got number of deliveries, 150 per delivery, and you can go right now. I can click, hey, update the vendor pricing, and it would update their vendor database. You can fill in the remainder to defaults, or you can go ahead and update the bid. I'm going to go ahead and update the current bid. Okay. Now they've received all of them. The status, we just sent the status back to Home Depot via the internet, just that fast. You didn't even see it. And we've notified them that we've seen their bid, we're reviewed it, but we haven't completed it. But this vendor has been received and accepted, so they've already been notified via an email as well, so that you don't even have to tell them. They'll be able to determine that just by opening up their program. Let's go to 84 Lumber. Let's say we got one back from 84. I just clicked there as well. You can do it either way. And let's say we got a few more items from 84, and this is 220, so on and so forth. And I want to update their data. I'll update it later on, but let's say it's all we have, but we want them to bid it because these are some other areas. I'm just going to fill in the remainder defaults. What it did, the computer went back through there, found the default prices that you've used in the database, and find out who the default vendor was, who you purchased it in the past from. Put that vendor's name over here, so it went and found out who it is that you purchased it in the past, who that default vendor is, and put that information in the notes and when the previous bid date was, and calculated it so you're bidding apples and apples, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and update the bid for this gentleman. And then let's say Premier called us back and say, hey, I'm not going to bid. No problem. You just delete it. So you got, now there's only 2 bidders that you've received, those that are done. And let's go ahead and let's say we want to come through here and we want to review the bid, and then you'll get this to pop up. And what happens here is it brings it back out and it does a comparison side by side from the, if you have 5 vendors, you got 5 vendors across the top, but it puts it side by side by your item. So you got 2x4 16s, you get a price. So you can look down through here and say, man, Home Depot is messed up somewhere along the line and we need to get in contact with them, or 84 is, and you can say, well, what is wrong with that picture? That is definitely not right. So that way you're making sure that your bid is accurate. It does that comparison for you, so that way you can make sure that when you're bidding out the job, you're getting accurate bids as well, and update them accordingly. You make your phone calls. But you did all that fast without doing anything. As you go through here, after you have it, let's go ahead and analyze it though. And what that's doing, it's saying, okay, it's going to go through the bid. It's going to find out, hey, you got 6 defaults. Are you sure you want to use this? 84 Lumber didn't have tax included or didn't have delivery fee. Let's go ahead and return, go back into 84, bring this down, and we'll say it's 7% sales tax and 150 delivery for them as well, and then update the current bid. So that way you're making sure you're always bidding apples and apples, and then when it does the analysis, it goes through, figures it out, say, hey, we still have 6 default items, that's fine. We're going to say that's good, and I'm going to go ahead and finish my analysis. What the computer is doing is comparing them side by side, making an average bid and making a lowest bid, so that way you can determine which the best way to go. Brings it together, and while that's it's had to close it in order to bring it back up because it's doing a lot of calculations, so bear with it while it's finishing that up. I'll get right back with you. Okay, so it's come back, it's went in here, it brings up this screen first, so you could do a side-by-side comparison again. This is the same thing as reviewing it, but I want you to review it side-by-side. Go ahead and close this screen. You could have printed it right there, but you can see now I have an average bid and the lowest bid. If you want to find out the lowest combination of the bids, you can go in and click on the lowest bid. It'll pull up their information, and let me pull this down so you can see it. And it could say you need to buy this from 84, 84, 84, and this is the average bid, and 84 and Home Depot, so on and so forth. That fast, that quick. What you did is you completely estimated a project, did it from start to finish, calculated all the materials, went and published, requested a bid package for the framing, went online, published it online. If they did it online, you wouldn't even have to do any of the data. Did a bid comparison and did all this that fast for a project that is running close to 100, and if once you issue the winning bid, though, when you click the winning bid, it updates your estimate, updates all the items in that estimate so it's accurate to the bids, and you have a running tally where you're at. So the BOSStimator is an awesome program. I just went through a brief, very brief, but I just estimated $148,000 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, slab on grade with a driveway and some sidewalk, everything completely finished out that quick, that fast, 21 minutes, and bidded online. The BOSStimator is the greatest estimating software package on the market. I know you will agree. When you have a question, like always, feel free to call the boss.